Alright guys, TacticalRab again today. Hope you're doing well and enjoying your day so far. More roster drama going down last night with Toronto's apparent offer for ReeaL on the Miami Heretics getting rejected by that organisation. That leaves Ultra rather desperately needing a fourth man on their team, and the man they are now looking at practically confirms one of the major roster pieces over these last couple of weeks. Lots of other very interesting things to dive into as well. Very much intrigued to your thoughts in the comments below. Hit the like button if you enjoy. Subscribe if you are new as always. I would greatly appreciate it. First of all, Esports Awards. We often talk about this. Part 1 was a while ago when Scump One Esports Personality was hosting it out there in Riyadh, all that type of stuff. Now it's part 2, so all the other awards come through, which players are going to get nominated for Player of the Year, this type of stuff. And yesterday, which was a real pleasant surprise to me, I've been nominated for Esports Content Creator of the Year, and I feel really chuffed about this actually, because a few years ago when I was starting this journey, it was like a private ambition I set myself to get nominated for this award, because I thought, alright, if I do my best, if I serve the community as well as I can, obviously I've got the Valorant stuff as well going on now, which I'm sure helps with this, but the people that get nominated for this awards are just massive streamers, are huge content creators that promote and support the competitive scenes in their respective disciplines. So, to be up here with these type of names, I can't thank you guys enough, honestly, for all the support over the last few years, and the reaction as well to me getting nominated was so nice yesterday. So yeah, thank you guys so much. I don't know who's actually going to win this, right? Because I mean, Tarek obviously is huge, eBay, KDROL, those I guess are the favourites here from their respective esports. But yeah, it was great to be included, and especially because Call of Duty this year, we got a fair few nominations from the COD scene, but not a huge amount. And we'll talk about Zoomer in a second actually, because that's kind of interesting as well. But yeah, if you guys you guys don't need to vote or anything like that. I mean, I'm not going to win, respectfully, but and I know that I think it's 25% of the overall who wins is determined by the public vote, and then the rest of it is the panel that actually determines things. But yeah, esportsawards.com/vote. I know lots of you guys have been kind enough to give me your vote already, but yeah, so I'll actually first up here, so yeah, here's your boy on the homepage basically of this one, and these are the other guys, of course, like Tarek and etc etc. Esports Team of the Year, we do also have Call of Duty nominated there for OpTic Texas Call of Duty, right? So there's not that many OpTic or not that many Call of Duty things this year, but OpTic Texas are here. And as we go further down, we have Organization of the Year, so the likes of G2, they're in COD. Falcons, of course, are now in COD, so I guess there's kind of that. And then Console Player of the Year, which is interesting because the last few years it's not been called Console Player anymore. It used to be called Console Player, but then they made it Controller Player because obviously lots of these games aren't played on console anymore. But for some reason they're calling it Console Player of the Year again this year. But at least that's on the website. So Shifty is up for nomination. Of course, Warzone Guy, who we've talked about a fair bit over the last few days. Simp and Shotzzy are both here as well. So they're possibly going to be in the conversation to win it as well. They potentially should. And there's a few other things involved. Live Event of the Year, the Call of Duty World Championship is up here, and honestly, that probably should have a chance. Yeah, probably a bigger event is going to win for a bigger esport, but COD Champs was sensational. And then I think if we go all the way down, so we have a host here, so I think Puckett is nominated for this one as Host of the Year, which we'll see on the bottom right-hand side, as he always should be, to be honest, and Chance as well as Colorcaster of the Year. So I think those are our nominees this season. But I think understandably there was a bit of talk as to why isn't Zoomer nominated for this category, right? Why is he not on the shortlist? Because if all those other names and what they do for their respective esports are there, Zoomer's done an awful lot for Call of Duty. I don't know whether it's because maybe one of the reasons I got nominated is because I got the Valorant thing as well. I think that's probably a massive part of it, as to a couple of esports going on, where Zoomer's just COD. Maybe that's part of it. I don't know. I feel like it would have been nice to give Zoomer a nod as well. But thank you for all the support, sincerely, as ever. And yeah, just quickly on the whole Simp and Shotzzy thing, whether they could potentially win, Controller was what I'd call it, potentially Player of the Year. But I think the voting closes on the 7th of November, so you've got time if you want to chill about it. And then the second part of the award show is going to be on the 14th of November. And yeah, Simp says appreciate any support as ever. But let's talk about Rostermania drama, because that's what we're here for. And things started to kick off yesterday again. So we saw yesterday, over the last couple of days, rumours that Toronto are keeping Insight and CleanX. They're bringing Beans back onto their roster, more than likely. Okay, he was never on the Toronto starting team, but he was on their academy. And it looks like Beans potentially alongside Insight is effectively the Scrappy replacement. That's where he's going to be. There's a lot of upside in in Beans as a player. He's got the gunny. Does he have the consistency? You know, does he have the right playstyle right? There's other factors in play where Beans, you know, needs to learn and improve, I think, a fair bit if he wants to get anywhere close to Scrappy's level. But, of course, I think he's potentially got the team and the coaches around him to make that work. The question was, who's their fourth going to be? And, yes, they've got some money for selling Scrap, for selling Envoy, so they have a bit of money if they want to throw around some buyouts for certain players. Obviously, they've not looked at Sib, it seems, and there are some rumours now that Sib is probably going to stay on Cloud9, or at least that's possible, that they may choose Sib over the other candidates, as in Skyz and Kiz, as we talked about a couple of days ago, whether that could be a realistic possibility of deciding to, you know, keep Sib if you're Cloud9 over the other set of players that you have there. But, you know, whatever, maybe Sib is available, maybe is not, but they seem to be spending money in the SMG department, and that's where guys like Gwyn could be gettable, but Ravens probably aren't going to sell him. But some teams seemed willing to sell potentially good players on their rosters, such as ReeaL, and it seems like ReeaL was pretty sure, or it was pretty close basically, that this was going to become a done deal. But Toronto signing ReeaL has fallen through. They couldn't reach an appropriate buyout amount, and apparently Ultra were offering in excess of 60k to sign ReeaL, and then of course they've got to pay him a salary, and you know, Ultra just, I guess, couldn't afford any more than that, and Miami decided that wasn't enough to justify the sale. So you can debate this whether that makes sense, because look, if you pay 60 grand, if you, let's say you get 60 grand for ReeaL, that covers you one of your players' salaries for the season, right? Because they have 5 players right now, Heretics. They have, of course, from last year, Lucky, MettalZ, Vikul, and now Rencor, and of course, ReeaL was on the team, so they've currently got 5 guys. So if they just sold ReeaL and they kept those 4 guys that I just mentioned, sure, role-wise, it might be kind of interesting. Losing ReeaL would be a big loss for sure, but it would cover one of those guys' salaries, assuming they're paying like effectively the minimum, because I think the minimum now is like 59k, so it would effectively cover that for the year, which, you know, maybe it works, but I don't necessarily think what Miami have done is a bad idea here, right? Because ReeaL is arguably your best player, at least, like, he's the player that Toronto want, and I think for a good reason. So selling him and then covering one of your guys' salaries for a year, you know, if that's what you're paying the guys, maybe they're paying more, I don't know. Is that really worth it in the longer term? I don't necessarily think so. I think potentially Miami stand to gain more if they have more success by keeping ReeaL for the season, but it seems like he believed, or at least the team believed, it was potentially close to being finalised. Even Miami quote tweeted this, effectively saying, yeah, he ain't going anywhere. And ReeaL was apparently talking about this on stream, and supposedly seemed pretty upset that it wasn't happening. Apparently even went on to say, it is what it is, it's just business. I'm staying with Heretics another year. Hopefully next year I get a good opportunity again, which is pretty funny, isn't it? With, you know, effectively implying that he doesn't really like it there on Heretics, or at least he hopes for a better team to come along, which is fair enough, obviously. But it's kind of funny if he implied that, oh, well, kind of a shame that I didn't get bought out here. Wish that I had done so I get to leave these guys. But yeah, it makes sense. I mean, if you can leave Miami and join Toronto, it's obviously something that you're going to want to do. Apparently, Beans is also not so happy about it, because apparently they thought it was going to happen, and then Heretics decided not to agree to the sale, potentially at the last minute. So yeah, the ReeaL thing to Toronto is not happening. He's going to stay on Miami. That means they need another player to target, and the rumour is JoeDeceives is now the guy to go for. Now, of course, we talked the other day, they wanted like an all-European roster. We talked about, okay, could it be ReeaL or Bant or Hixie on the SMG alongside CleanX? But of course, the ReeaL move they wanted hasn't worked out, and therefore JoeDeceives is now the man they're looking for. Now, Joe, we talked about yesterday, could be a good target for a team like Cloud9, would make a fair bit of sense actually in a couple of different ways, but he is potentially available from the Los Angeles Thieves, and Ultra are now looking at him. Now, the first thing to note, of course, about the fact that Joe is even available is the fact that this means that Thieves is a done deal, right? Like, this effectively means they have HyDra, because if they didn't have HyDra, then JoeDeceives would not be available. We're 99% confident Scrap and Envoy, that's a done deal to go to Los Angeles Thieves. We are a little bit less confident than that the HyDra has signed the deal and got to go there as well, but I'm pretty sure it's happened now. Like, I'm 98% confident that team is going to be real. But it leaves JoeDeceives on the table looking for a new roster, and I also do wonder whether, you know, this is what Ben J. Nassim talked about on stream last night, about the fact that because Ultra gave Thieves a good deal, effectively, Ultra and Thieves knew that Ultra can't afford the salaries on those guys. Ultra also wanted to do right by their players, Scrap and Envoy, by allowing them to go somewhere. So, and Thieves don't have like unlimited, incredibly deep pockets. So the rumor is anyway that Ultra and Thieves agreed a buyout fee, which was, you know, pretty nice to Thieves on some respects. That, you know, Ultra gave them a good deal, I think is the general theory. And as a result, the feeling is that in return, because JoeDeceives is also contracted to them and he's not going to be an unrestricted free agent because, you know, Thieves can get money for him and under salary. So, but the feeling is that, you know, Thieves in return will do Ultra a solid by selling them JoeDeceives to a relatively small figure. So, you know, Thieves are still going to be the ones paying the most money. Ultra are still going to be the ones making the cash out of this transaction, but they send 2 players one way and get 1 player, it seems, in return. So hopefully in the long run it works out for both parties, but that's the big rumor right now. And unless, you know, Cloud9 or someone, because Jack Etienne, to be fair, yes, they've sold HyDra, it seems, and they've made money as well. Jack Etienne from Cloud9 has not said, oh, well, I'm not trying to spend. He's said, yeah, like, I'm willing to spend and try and form a great roster here. And that's their intention to achieve exactly that. So I don't think it's like Cloud9 don't have the spending power. If they wanted to, they could go into Thieves and say, all right, we just, you know, got your money for HyDra. Like, how about we give you some of that back and we'll buy JoeDeceives? So, you know, maybe there's still going to be a bit of a bidding war, basically, for JoeDeceives to get onto a respective roster. But it seems like Ultra as Insight, Beans, CleanX, JoeDeceives could potentially be the team of 4, and that sounds pretty good to me, given what they could have done in this roster period. If they form that roster of 4, having got rid of Scrap and Envoy and sold them because they can't afford their contracts anymore, that's a decent off-season, to be fair, for Ultra. And I feel like Ultra fans, while they won't be happy, there's definitely some upside in that team, no doubt about it. Now, Hixie, he signed a deal somewhere. And, you know, he said on August 2023, not sure how this has happened. It's going to feel better doing it again, effectively, because he wasn't getting a spot back in the league, right? Like, he came into Ultra last season, not this most recent season, the season before, won an event, second at the World Championship, didn't get a spot elsewhere. The difficulty is for Hixie that, you know, he's definitely a solid player and he can add value to a team, good on LAN as well, I think, in general. Not going to have the most slaying power in the world, but that is true for other SMGs. He's going to be a player that looks really good and actually is really good and helps the team when he's alongside a very good SMG. The issue is that if you're a team on the bottom part of the league, what you need is slaying. You don't need a good role player. And that's why, for a guy like Hixie, it's either top team or bust, effectively. It seems like, though, he's going to be joining the Seattle Surge, or the Vancouver Surge, as they now are, alongside 04. So kind of like a middle-of-the-pack team, it seems. aBeZy with Nastie, potentially, and then 04 and Hixie. That's the current rumour. That seems to be locked in. Definitely deserving of another chance in the league, so wishing him the best if he gets back there for the new season, which it seems like he will. And just to close out the video, great stuff here from Anthony Methods Zinny. Kind of in a similar way to what Zoom has done with the Stallions, right? But yeah, launching the Zin City Challengers team for the upcoming year, full funding for the players, flights, hotel, team pass, etc. 100% prize winnings to the players, no contracts, and he's going to be personally coaching the team. So I actually I don't think, followed the account yet, so let me just do that real quick. So really cool stuff. And Zinny honestly is a really quality guy. I know that, like, of the caliber of content creators that Methods is in, he often gets roasted just because, like, you know, he doesn't have the accolades or the accomplishments of a Scump or, you know, a Zoomer or an Octane, for example. But anytime something happens in the community, like, Methods really does want the best for the scene, for the people in the scene, and you see that not just in public but also behind the scenes when nobody's watching. So yeah, great guy, and hopefully this works out for the best for him. I'll certainly be supporting it, but very much enjoyed your thoughts in the comments. Hit the like button if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new, take care, and I'll see you next time.
And I'm going to start a Challengers team for this upcoming year. I'm going to personally coach this team multiple times a week, live on stream. We'll be watching scrims. I'm going to fully fund the team myself as of right now. Full flights, hotels, basically the whole 9 yards. Besides salaries, of course. This is my way of giving back to the community and doing something that I think young me would really appreciate. I'm not trying to make money. There's really nothing in it to make money for me besides, like, I guess, creating some content around it. It's something I've been thinking about for a while, and I feel like it's going to be a very fun thing for us to get behind and really, I'm going to have hands-on actual work with the team that's really going to like kind of hopefully scratch that competitive itch for me. It's something that I'm going to get behind, and to actually have a group of guys that I'm going to be working with and rooting for is really cool to me. I just think it's good. Right? Like I see what Tommy does with the Stallions, and I wanted to do something similar. And I really wanted to have a little more hands-on work where I can actually try and like coach these guys a bit and actually try to help them from my side with actual in-game stuff. And yeah, we'll see who the first roster will be.